What's up, everybody? Hello and welcome to episode number 271 of the VK Bros with Jason and Alex Von Cannell. Now, you may notice I'm rocking the Black Dog Institute Limited Special Edition Broncos jersey to celebrate the grand final victory of the greatest NRL team of all time, the Brisbane Broncos. Shout out.
It was a bit of a... It was all good for Queensland, right? In sports. Did we talk about that last week?
No, we didn't, because the games were last weekend, so...
But AFL as well?
Yep, so the Broncos won the NRL Grand Final, the NRLW Grand Final, and the AFL Grand Final all on the same weekend. So it just goes to show you that in the great state of Queensland, which is the part of Australia that is pushing back against wokeness, the last remaining meritocracy, which is sports, actually benefits from meritocracy. Look at us go. Look at us go.
Huzzah!
How are you going this week, Alex?
I had a bit of a lackluster week. I feel like I did a lot of work. I didn't get anywhere that far. Mm-hmm. But I will say this. My little side project that a lot of the viewers of the show know about, but I don't really broadcast a whole lot, is perilously close to being finished.
Perilously is an interesting word to use.
Well, dude, I'm 3 years in.
Yeah,
it's taken me 3 years so far.
You've thought you were close before.
Yeah, it's always been 1 week away.
Yeah.
But
who are you, Netanyahu?
The amount of on the Iranian nuclear program.
Yeah.
I was only thinking it too about and I think I put a post up. I can't remember if you posted it, but talking about the sacrifice that entrepreneurs make to get products to market, and this is where I get really frustrated when lefties are talking about distributing wealth and making billionaires pay more. And I thought no lefties would have taken this, made the sacrifices that I've made over the last 3 years.
Yeah,
and I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. But to risk everything I was killing it before. Before I started this thing, I had heaps of money.
Yep.
I had money for toys. I had 2 track cars. You don't need 2. I had 2. I had a Ferrari for a bit, right? Could pretty much do what I wanted. And then made the decision that I was going to sell the toys and pile essentially most of my net worth into this project because I thought it was going to be, I still think it's going to be much bigger than anything else I've done before. Mm-hmm. But that has taken its toll. I don't have spare money to just throw around. Me and my business partner have paid ourselves, and he's actually paid himself even less than what I'm paying myself out of the business as a sacrifice. And even someone pitched to me the other day to go on holidays, and I'm I'm not even thinking about a holiday until I need to sort of bring my mind to this next checkpoint where it's actually going to get some income. Once it gets some income, then I can think about those things. But it's been 3 years, essentially, no significant expenditure, no real time off.
Yeah, it's sacrifice.
It is sacrifice, yeah. So, and it's 3 years. 3 years is a long, long, long time.
Yep.
And I didn't have to do it. Do you know what I mean? That's the other thing. I was going really, really good before. Life was really, really good before. And I chose to go down this path, which I think will pay off. But I've had to put everything on the line to get there. And aspects of it have sucked, but at the same time, I probably wouldn't have it any other way. I think I like the challenge. I like what it teaches you when your back's against the wall and you're forced to make a decision. Also solving problems with new solutions, having new thinking to solve things in new and interesting ways. I'm very thankful for the network that I've had that's helped out. Some of the viewers have like even helped like financially helped out, which has been really, really good. And I hope that all those people will be not only made whole, but benefit from their participation in
their
it.
investment in your dream.
So, yeah, so thank you to all those people. We're so close. So close.
Yeah,
so close.
I think that this is a really big point that needs to be made, and it's an interesting way to segue into it. This is what capitalism is supposed to be. Capitalism is when someone, an entrepreneur like Alex, takes his capital and risks his own capital to produce something that is worth far more than what his capital originally is worth. And then there is good that comes from that. Now, this has been the case with just about every major innovation throughout history that we now enjoy and see as normal. So, like, we're on computers now. Computers are the result of capitalism. Everyone uses smartphones. They are the result of capitalism. Someone risked their capital and used their technical expertise to bring a product to the world that the world collectively benefits from. It is super concerning to me that in the West in particular, which are the countries that have benefited the most from the capitalist system, that there is this negative association now, like word association, where capitalism is seen as a dirty word. Yeah. Profit is seen as a dirty word. It's not. It's a reality of systems, how life has worked over time, and it's literally the system that has created the most human flourishing ever.
It's the way that I see it is, like, because I've heard that profit as a dirty word so many times recently. Back in the day, never heard it. Never ever heard it, unless you're like listening to Marxist propaganda, which is very minimal back in the day, or like, you know, when I was 10 years ago.
In our circles anyway, yep.
But recently it's becoming huge, and people will say it all the time. They'll just throw it around, and it's so easy to sort of dismantle, which is like, profit's great because, especially large profits create opportunity for competition.
Yeah.
Competition drives price down. And profit gives someone like me the motivation to risk capital and work to get some of that.
Correct.
Now, I think we've lost sight of what made us great.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it is. Now, it is definitely hard right now for people, okay? And there's a topic I want to get onto next, right? But it's definitely hard now. But don't try and throw out the entire system that got us here because really of one policy. It's really only one policy. And it's really only essentially one organization that's caused this problem. Don't try and upend the system that got us all the good stuff.
Yeah, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, and that policy was obviously, like, really, it was COVID. I've said it many times, but I'm just going to keep hammering it home because people forget, and people are starting to rewrite history.
People want to forget.
They want to forget that I still have had arguments recently with people about people defending the government's choice to stimulate the economy during COVID. We had to stimulate it, otherwise the economy would have faltered. And like, whoa, zoom out and then look at the whole picture, and then there's one step that you missed. You know it's there, but you forgot to mention it, which is, if they didn't shut the economy down, we wouldn't have had to have done this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first order. The first order was, they decided to shut down the economy. We said it back then. Well, we were just a car dealer and a friggin' landscaper saying that this is not the right way to do it. We weren't geniuses. We're just looking at other places and we're reading like the real death stats.
Mm-hmm.
And we also predicted what it was going to do to the economy. We also made moves for ourselves personally to make sure that we were put in a great position after it.
Mm-hmm.
But all this bad stuff that's happening right now is directly because of that policy.
And was easily predictable. And
predictable.
There were members of the... So again, I hear this comment that you're talking about all the time. They did the best they could with the information they had available to them. And it's just bullshit. And you can tell it's bullshit as soon as you start peeling back some of the latest. So one of the biggest examples of this for me is when the ex-Fed chair Janet Yellen over in America said that with all the money they printed in the States at the time, because they did the exact same thing as we did, that inflation would be transitory. So in other words, she was basically claiming that printing an additional, was it $7 trillion, I think was the amount that they ended up printing over a 2-year period, and jamming that into the economy, that if there was any inflation it caused at all, it would be transitory and it would be like a blip on the radar. Any economist would have known that that's bullshit. She, in that position, knew that was bullshit, but they did it anyway. And like Philip Lowe, the ex-Reserve Bank governor from Australia, what did he say back then? Oh, we can't anticipate any rate rises for, 3 or 4 years. Yeah. And then what do? They encouraged all of us young people to go out and take out loans and buy houses at low interest rates, and then they jacked those rates 4% within 18 months.
Yeah.
Like, they knew this stuff. The masking... not even the masking, not even as small as that. Even just the fact, we literally had a pandemic plan, a document, that had only been finalised and signed off on the year prior to COVID kicking off. As 2019, that document was decided on by all the experts, and they threw it out the moment the pandemic happened, and they started doing shit with zero evidence base. So, again, this... And you know what? I think that whole mentality of, they did the best with what... To me, that is symptomatic of the number one failure I see in Western society at the moment, which is a massive weakness epidemic, so weakness of character, which is resulting in a lack of an ability to number one, be honest with each other, and number two, just a general acceptance of being lied to constantly like it's okay.
Yeah.
It's fucking not.
And you're falling for, to use a football analogy, throwing a dummy. Yeah. So, in the football, you jinx a shot, someone falls for it, right? And then you maintain control of the ball and you do something else with it.
That's right.
Well, what's the government done? They have thrown a dummy and blamed immigrants or blamed corporations or blamed anything but them. They've never once said, and really think about this, especially if you're consuming the other side. Think of a time where you've ever heard anyone outside of this show say they've inflated the money.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to debunk when someone says, "Oh no, the reason why the house price has gone up so much is because of immigration." Okay, so house price has gone up 40%. Why? So why has your shopping gone up 40%?
That's right. Yeah.
Why has electricity gone up 40%? How come everything seems to have gone up by the exact same amount?
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So, but you've tied yourself, because that first step is, I can't admit COVID was bad.
Yeah.
Right? Because that would be one of the biggest crimes perpetuated on humanity.
Yeah.
So that's definitely not it. So it must be the thing that, this influencer has said. And I'm only going to look at it in the context of that particular... So I'm just going to look at it as housing. It's just housing. So the left is saying it's landlords, greedy landlords. Greedy landlords have somehow colluded to make every single market price exactly 40%.
Yeah, that's right. Man, they're organised.
And so between landlords and developers, right, land banking, it's caused an exactly 40% increase in which is also the same as what your groceries, what's your petrol, what's your phone.
Even with the landlord example, if that was correct, that would make investment properties the hottest commodity that you could possibly get your hands on at the moment because of the profitability coming out of those things. And yet every week another builder goes insolvent because they can't afford to build the fucking houses. Like,
yeah. So going back to what Jason said, like, if you're not even willing to look a couple, you know, to zoom out a little bit, look across the spectrum a little bit, you're going to be led down a garden path. Like, you're just not looking at enough data to make a call.
Yeah. And you're allowing the media and the government to set the starting point of the conversation on every subject.
Yeah, like, so the thing that still gets me is people blaming billionaires and never once saying, well, the billionaires don't make rules.
Yeah.
They may lobby, right? We all know that they lobby governments, right? We can all agree that rich companies lobby governments to get their own way. Okay, we can all agree on that. So you want to attack the company, which you can do with your own money, right? I always say, if you don't believe in a company, like, so I hate Amazon.
Yeah.
I don't use it. And people go, oh, but it's so convenient. I don't care.
Yep.
I think it's modern day slavery. I hate the user interface. It's so bad. How hard it was for me to disconnect my account was criminal.
Yep.
So I never deploy any of my money into that ecosystem.
Yep. You vote with your dollars.
That's my way to do it, and I talk about it on the show. But if you just looked. If you just followed the process of the billionaire or the company, what they do with their money, and then where the rules are made, you'd blame the rule makers.
That's right.
So the rule maker has fallen for the corruption. But it's direct your energy at the rule maker.
That's right.
Not at the person paying for their own self-interest.
Yeah,
because you're doing the same. You want, like, and all of us should vote in our own self-interest, right? That's what we should do. These guys are using all the powers that they have possible to get what they want. You're doing everything in your power to get what you want. But direct your energy at the person that's actually signing the bills.
Of course.
Signing the legislation that's going through.
And the thing is too, like, if you don't even think like that, like, if that's a foreign thought that you've never even had before, and you've always been blaming the corporations and not literally the politicians who are taking the money from the corporation to do their bidding, that shows to me a fundamental weakness of your character.
Yeah.
Guess what? If someone comes and offers you money to do things you don't believe in, you can tell them to fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, you absolutely can. I've done it many times in my career to sometimes great effect, sometimes massive detriment to myself. But the reality is, if you don't even understand the concept that you don't have to take the money to do the corrupt thing, that shows a massive character flaw in yourself. Like, check yourself on that stuff. Stop giving these scumbags a free pass all the time.
Yeah.
Why? Like, okay, this is the biggest thing out of COVID that still grinds my gears. And I'm frustrated this week. I'll tell you up front, because it's just, I'm just seeing the same mistakes over and over and over. No one's learning from anything that we should have learned
I'm seeing the same thing.
From COVID, right? And the biggest bugbear that I still have from COVID was this. When it all kicked off and we started talking about this stuff on the show, and I was very vocal online, getting into debates on Facebook and all of these things, I copped so much heat. Because who am I to know better than the experts or the government or whatever? Who am I to know better? What would you know? You're just a gardener. You know nothing. Okay, maybe that was fine in 2020. And maybe even early 2021. But when these experts kept coming out and rolling out the same bullshit, even when it was clearly a lie, why won't you hold those people to the same, even just the same level of scrutiny as you hold us?
Yeah.
It fucking drives me mental. We're literally no one, right? Yeah. We have, like, the only thing that I'll say this. I was having a conversation with someone during the week, and this is a female person, and we were talking about, they're actually giving me feedback about, not last week's show, but the week before. And one of the things I said to them about, on the show, about how I do believe, and this is going to sound really misogynist, I do believe we have a massive problem with women in the West. And what I believe the problem is I don't know who can speak to them anymore.
Yeah.
Right? And this is...
Abby Chatfield.
Abby Chatfield's a great example. Like, the only people that women tend to want to listen to are other women who are confirming their biases for them. And so this friend of mine, she was talking about that on the show, and she's a very rational person, and was just explaining this conversation she'd had with some friends. And it literally went in the same way as what a lot of these conversations do, which is as soon as she pushed back slightly on their emotive response to a subject, they got offended. And it was to the point where the conversation actually had to be shut down. And I was like, but it's at that point, if you've learnt from COVID, where you actually need to actually push the advantage and go, hey, no, let's talk about this. Like, we are friends. I care about you. We can have a disagreement without hating each other.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts based on? Show me the evidence. Is this just a feelings-based thing? Or do you have some data that maybe I'm not even privy to that you could share with me? I might update my thinking on this thing. But then she sort of went into this kind of very typical feminine trope, which is, well, no, women in society can't do that. They can't be loud. They can't be boisterous. They can't take up space. And I'm not bringing this up to criticize her. I'm bringing this up to make women aware of the fact that men play by the exact same rules in society. Men cannot be arrogant, boisterous, take up too much space. Look what society does to men who do that. It tries to tear them apart.
Yeah.
Right? And think about any workplace that you might work in. If there is a guy who behaves like that, there's usually only one or two in most workplaces. The majority are the men who work in those workplaces. Same as the women. Head down, don't want the attention, keep their mouths shut. Because again, we do actually play by the same rules. But here's the number one rule that people forget about. And this is the thing that is a big problem in society at the moment, particularly in the West. You can absolutely be loud, boisterous, take up space, but you better be right. The number one rule is if you want to point fingers and tell people what to do or what not to do, you fucking better be right. And that was taught to me by a sales manager when I was young. So when I first started selling cars, I had probably the most arrogant, boisterous sales manager in the dealership to train me. But I got along very well with him because I'm a straight shooter and he's a straight shooter too. And he literally said that to me, dude, you've got that personality style, just be right. If you want to have the argument, that's fine, but you better be right. So when Alex and I spoke about talking about COVID on the show, because we knew we were going to cop backlash, we knew we were going to get, we didn't know the censorship was coming, but we realized that we were starting to get censored, and we still pushed on with it anyway because we thought it was the right thing to do. But because we knew the stakes were so high, guess what we did? We did our own research. Because if we're going to talk shit, we better be right.
Yeah.
So we've done all of the research on these subjects so you don't have to, which is why a lot of you guys come back here and it's why a lot of you trust us. But the thing is, on the flip side of it, the experts literally have to do nothing. As long as they get presented as an expert, they literally have to do nothing to either earn your trust in the first place or maintain your trust when they get caught out for lying to you.
Don't forget that the governments court-ordered the blocking of the evidence.
Correct.
Around COVID.
You've never seen the health advice that they said that everything was based on. Or the few times that we've had, like we've covered on the show before, the health advice said a very different thing to what they actually ended up doing. They were blocking, obviously, the opposite opinions on social media. But it wasn't just podcasters, it was doctors on social media were getting banned from socials all over the world. They literally curated your information world for you to feed you full of bullshit that they knew was wrong. They harmed you. And whether you got vaccine injured, whether you got COVID and actually had a really bad time with it, whatever your experience was during COVID, guess what? Your cost of living's through the roof now because of what they did back then.
You're 40% poorer than you were in 2019.
Exactly. And Alex and I were saying, this is the largest... Like, we literally were saying this at the end of 2020, because that's why we did that anniversary episode, where we threw back up episode 15, which was Question Everything, where we were talking about the decisions that governments were trying to make around COVID. And we said it. This is going to be one of the largest wealth transfers in history from the middle class to the rich, ever. And that's exactly what happened. That is why the middle class has never been more broke than they are today, and it's why the elites have never been richer than they are today.
Let me talk about... So I had an interesting conversation with ChatGPT on the weekend, and it's in the vein of what you're saying about people not thinking in a courageous way. And I was actually talking to ChatGPT about my lifting, because I've got a target that I've set myself. I'm trying to get that 500 kilo across the 3 compound lifts, the bench press, deadlift, and back squat. And I was doing some research around it, and I asked, like, what percentage of the population can do that? Because I think it's a pretty significant thing. And it's under 1%.
Yeah.
And then I thought, what other things make you, put you in the 1%?
If you died from COVID.
No, that's lower, 0.003. So, and it gave me some stuff like, if you earn $60,000 if you're worth 1.2, if you've been to 50 plus countries, if you can speak 3 languages, if you can run a 4-minute mile. But the one that I found that was really interesting was meta-awareness and response control. Interesting. And I was like, oh, can you explain that? So I've got the sheet up here. I'll just read from it. And I asked... Okay, so it talked about a question that triggers neuroscience calls the prefrontal override, shifting processing from the amygdala to the prefrontal cortex. So the practical application is a 3-second audit. Because I asked, how do you measure it? Whether you've got it or not. Before responding to a client, staff, or partner, ask, what's the signal? What's true in the data? What's the noise? What's the emotion you bias? What's the opportunity? Can I leverage in this moment? This keeps your response reality-based while others are still reacting emotionally. Anyway, I actually got it to... Because I very much... I mean, we think this way. So in business, I've said there's no room for emotion in business. So you can feel any emotion that you want, but if you react to the emotion, you will make a mistake. Okay? Yeah. So feel the emotion, but act on data and act in reality. Yeah, the emotion is a trigger for you to do more research into figuring out why you got that initial feeling in the first place. Yeah. And it actually... I don't know if it was trying to suck my nipples, but ChatGPT was saying that, I've already expressed... I talked about some of the books that I'd read that helped form my decision, and it goes, oh, you're already operating the 1%, but you've actually got a unique take on it. And it goes, should we write a blog together about this thought? It sounds to me like you're being groomed by ChatGPT. I am somewhat. So I'll read it out, because I think it's... I think... Now I need to find it now, because I've lost it. I think it serves... And it was interesting because the moment that I wrote it, the very next day, my friend rang me and he had to make a big life decision, and everything he did was the feelings-based thing. Right. And I read that out, and he goes, "Dude, was that meant for me?" Right? But I actually think this is meant for everyone. So I'll read it out. Hold on. Can I just make a point on that as well? Just really, really quick one. That's the male response to criticism of your behavior. So I need women who are listening to understand that. So Alex had a friend, had to make a big decision. Alex was obviously talking to him about the decision.
and he literally said, this is an example, like this is the data showing that the decision that you made is on the feeling side of things, not the rational side of things. And the response to that criticism from the male friend, I'm assuming.
Yep.
The response from the male friend was, oh, wow, was that written for me? Like, take it on board, process it. Not offensive, like, not get offended, not argue with you and say that we can't be friends anymore.
Yeah.
That's a masculine response to criticism. Anyway.
And I call that like the quest for truth. So when my business partner and I are going through problems, whenever we get sidetracked, we always try to go like, what's the truth? Like, how do we find the truth? Okay, so this is what the article's called.
It's gay if your mindset is, how I feel right now is more important than what's right. Yeah. That's real gay.
Yeah, it's gay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the article's called Clarity Under Fire, the 1% skill nobody teaches. Most people make decisions driven by how they feel in the moment. The 1% do something different. They notice the feeling, but they don't obey it. In business, emotion is data, not direction. When pressure hits, I ask myself one question. Is this feeling based on reality, or is it just a feeling? That question creates distance. It gives you a few seconds to step out of the storm and look at what's true. From that space, you can make clearer calls, communicate calmly, and project steadiness when others react. This isn't suppression, it's precision. Emotions are like dashboard lights. They tell you something's happening, but they don't steer the car. Over time, that small pause compounds into massive advantage. Better decisions, lower stress, higher trust from those around you. Emotional awareness is leadership's quiet edge, and it's trainable. If you can hold awareness of both what you feel and what's real, you're already operating in the top 1%.
Yeah.
So the lesson out of that is 99% of people don't do that.
Yeah, which we can see.
So, but just like Jason said, take that on board and ask yourself that question. Ask yourself that question is it real? Is it based on data? Is it a fact? Or is it purely my emotive response to it?
Yeah.
Okay? And when you are, like, I can give an example of a real significant decision that I had to make relatively recently, was I basically threw away, I was in a situation where I had to throw all my work out, about $180,000 worth of code, throw it in the bin.
Yeah. Between
me and my business partner, it took us like 6 minutes to decide, and I don't regret it. It doesn't hurt. I've got no emotion towards it because it was the right thing to do based on all the possible metrics associated with that transaction.
Yep.
Now, you want to hold on to that.
Totally.
Oh, I've thrown so much money at it. I just want to, can't we do this and throw more at, there's all these reasons why you don't want to commit to something that big. But if it's wrong, it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
No way that you feel about it is going to change the fact that it's wrong.
This actually goes the other way as well when, I love gambling. Gambling is one of my hobbies. And I've watched a lot of content from professional gamblers. Now, I'm a dabbler. I don't try to earn an income out of it. But the guys who professionally gamble on sports, essentially what they are trying to do is find a market that you would deem as a coin flip. So let's say the Broncos versus Storm Grand Final. I genuinely believe that Grand Final was a coin flip. Either of those teams, it was a 50-50 chance that one of those teams could win that game.
Mm-hmm.
So you find a coin flip like that, and then you bet on the side if it gives you greater than 2-1 odds. So betting on the Broncos would have been the right thing to do in that game from a professional gambler's perspective, because they were paying like $2.20 to win that game, even though it was a coin flip. So essentially you're getting an extra, 40% return on a coin flip. That's a good bet. So if you bet on that, and you lose, it still means it was the right thing to do, even though you didn't get the result out of it.
Yeah. So I challenge everyone this week, all our listeners. For a start, thank you for being here. I challenge you this week, when something hits you, to take a breath and try to disseminate between what you feel and what is real.
Yep.
And I'd love to hear feedback on it, because to me, it's an absolute game changer. I don't know how other people operate like that. And I had a friend accuse me of like, you're cold when it comes to that stuff. But I'm only cold if I'm in a decision making. Or he tends to ring me. He's a business owner as well, and he'll ring me with business stuff. He's very much an emotional person. He gets caught up in it, and it does all sorts of things to his psyche. Like his sympathetic nervous system's going through the roof. And he starts rambling, and he's talking about something that's completely ill, and then something else that's external to this is now compounding on top of it. And I'm like, whoa. Okay, what are the facts of this situation? What's the desired outcome? What's the goal? What's the ultimate goal? Let's break it down into real tangible things. What can you do? What can't you do? What's the thing that is fixed in place? What is a variable? And ask yourself all these questions, and then we can actually break it down and we can find a solution.
Yep.
Now, I would argue that women don't tend to think like that naturally, but it also shows that 49 or 48% of men don't either. So my challenge to you is to try it. It's not being cold. It's being calculated when you have to.
Yep.
It's also being realistic with yourself and understanding that when you are under stress, you make poor decisions.
Yeah. That's one of the fundamental keys to keep in mind.
That's the Kyle punching a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
Like, what benefit does that give you of punching a hole in the wall?
It's the most illogical decision you can make at that time.
Yeah, but people feel justified to do it, and they do it all the time.
Yep.
Well, what other things are you doing in response?
Yep.
What other emotional responses are you having to things that are devoid from the data that's involved in it?
Yeah, it's a really good point. That's a really good point.
Now, let's talk about what we did this morning. We should talk about that.
Yeah, we should.
Because I think that's significant. So, Jason and I had a pretty productive morning this morning, mainly centered around the price of Bitcoin. I woke up and the first thing I do every morning is when I turn the phone on first thing I do, just so everyone knows, when I wake up, the first thing I do is actually pull my blinds open, let the sun come in, and then open the phone and check the old Bitcoin price. And I was like, oh shit, it's tanking.
Yeah.
Like it's going down at a rate of knots. And so we've got a group chat because, like I've said on here before, we've put our superannuation in it. And I was like, hey guys, I think we need to think about putting some more in. This is what it's doing. Now, when the whole market's red, as in losing, most people think, oh shit yourself, sell,
right.
which is clearly what the market was doing.
We're all gonna die.
Because when the number's going down, it's because more people are selling than buying.
Yep.
And when people freak out, they sell. Mm-hmm. But rational people realize, oh, this is now on sale.
Yeah, it's a discount.
It's a discount.
Mm-hmm.
And do you like buying stuff at a discount, or do you like buying stuff full price? Well, I like it at a discount.
I like it at a discount.
So I'll pull this little graph up here. This is probably the best way to show it. This is the 1 week Bitcoin price. So it's been sitting at 122 up to.
This is US dollars for anyone who doesn't realize.
125. Touch 125 again. 124. Just under 125 there. 123. This is over the week, and then this happened like last night. Bang! It's gone down. So when I woke up, it was like $114,000. And I was like, hey guys, we need to start thinking about getting in. So I get up out of bed, I go and find my computer up, and while I'm talking we do a video chat, we're talking to each other, we're going through all the numbers, it's dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping. And we're getting excited by the drop. Like it's burning, and we're like, all of us on the call are smiling because we're about to just buy heavily discounted Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And we got it. It doesn't even show up on this graph. This is what I love about it. It doesn't even show up. Here we go. The bottom. We got it cheaper than what it's showing on this graph. Yeah. So this graph is showing a bottom of $111,000. I think 107.
107 is what we got it at. Yeah.
Yeah, 107. And then as soon as we bought, it basically bounced. It's just bounced right back up.
Yeah.
Now, it could go lower. We're prepared for that as well.
Yep.
But essentially, we made a, what's the...
Well, it's a 10% return.
In what? An hour?
It is about an hour, yeah.
Right? So when there was absolute blood in the water, we were looking for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? And there was no debate. The three of us were all on the same page because we all know what we're trying to do. We're trying to stack Bitcoin for as cheap as we can get it.
That's right. That's the goal.
That's the goal. So when it's cheap, we're buying.
Mm-hmm.
When it's not, we're not. Right? We're not doing anything. We're not trading it. We're not selling it. We're just buying it. And I've got to give us props for, when I did it at $16,000 and everyone's like, nah, it's over, it's dead, no one's doing it. Very few people acted on that.
Yeah.
That's been a pretty good friggin' bet, right?
Yeah, and again, it is another example of runs on the board from your way of thinking, which you would hope would give you a little bit more clout when it comes to predictions for the future.
I bought from here, so here to here. Is that right? Yes. So, no, is that giving me... Is that doing... Just keep an eye on... I don't know if it's going to measure... No, it doesn't change. It doesn't change that. But from 16,000 to $112,000, come on, come on, but when I told people that we're even dabbling in it, they were more than happy to buy it at the previous high.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it went down, they're like, oh, no, I'm not buying it. Shit.
Mm.
Your thought is upside down because you're using emotion.
But again, too, those emotional responses always come generally from people who haven't actually done the work themselves. If you actually researched it, you put the 100 hours of research into anything, you will understand that thing enough to avoid those emotional swings.
True.
That's where a lot of this comes from. I mean, think about every subject which triggers people's emotions these days. Bitcoin's one. COVID and vaccinations was another one. Climate change is another one. Yeah, transgenderism. All of these different things. Everyone who wants to support the regime side has an emotional reaction to you when you go the opposite side on all of these things. And they never ask themselves, why do I have such an emotional reaction to this thing? It's because the system has planted that seed in your mind. This is the mind control. This is where it all comes from. And we talk about on the show all the time. This is why they're trying to control the internet. Because during COVID, and we've said this before, and we'll say it again, the only reason why the mandates stopped was because enough people started to say no. That's it. That's the only reason why they stopped. And the reason why those people started saying no was because there were enough people trying to get information out there that they were able to reach enough people via the internet to alert people of these dangers, of things that people were actually seeing in their anecdotal experience. So what did the government do? Oh shit, well we tried to pull the COVID scam to get complete totalitarian control, and we failed because of this giant hole. Let's plug the hole.
Okay, I want to. It's kind of linked to it, but I put it in the text. You probably haven't read it, but I was talking to a friend. So we've got a friend that is opting out of the system.
Yep.
I think it's a huge move. I think it's a great move. But he was on a call to a financier, so he wants to spend some money on the house.
Right.
And the guy on the phone used this term, and you worked in finance, so I want to hear if you've heard it before, because I've never heard this term before.
Okay.
The financier said the bank's going to contact you to find out your salary credits. Okay, judging by the look on your face, you've never heard of it.
No.
He goes, can you say that again? He goes, salary credits. He's like, what's salary credits? He goes, oh, that's what the bank's going to ask you about salary credits. Now, off the rip, I just think, have they just renamed your
deposit
capacity? No, your capacity to borrow. Your borrowing capacity.
Right.
So I've searched it now. I have reached out to another friend that's in the mortgage game. He hasn't texted me back yet.
Yeah.
Let me just check now if he has. Asking if this is like the used thing they have. So I pulled it up. Salary credits refers to the process of an employer transferring an employee's salary directly into their designated bank account, which is a common and automated method for dispersing wages. This process ensures timely salary credits, reduces the need for manual intervention, and provides employees with convenient access to their funds through various banking channels. The term can denote a specific type of payment, such as direct salary credit for a mortgage, which is an automated payment from an employee's paycheck to their lender to ensure timely payment.
Wow.
Okay. Okay, you got it. So I was. So I couldn't get off this. He was trying to talk about something else. I couldn't get off this term.
This is
like, no.
disgusting.
Okay, yeah, but what is this saying for the future, Jason?
Okay.
Can you explain your interpretation of it?
Well, yeah, okay. So, in other words, what this is saying is the banking system is so concerned people are not going to pay their mortgages that they're starting to take it directly from your employer and garnish your paycheck before it even hits your account. That is a giant red flag for the markets. But here's the other thing too. When I first started selling finance, which was back in 2015, I think it was, so I was doing motor vehicle finance. If you did a finance application during that period of time, and you got to remember, this is a really key point. This was previous to the Banking Royal Commission that got finalised after I had started. So the whole reason I did the Banking Royal Commission was because the banks caused the global financial crisis through irresponsible lending. Basically, lending too much money to people who could never afford to pay it back, right? So before the Royal Commission had even finished, if I took your finance application, Alex, you were trying to purchase a motor vehicle, and we would do your capacity calculation. So it would be how much money you're making versus your incomings versus your outgoings. Even if you had capacity, if your housing expense was more than 30% of your income, you would get flat declined.
Yeah.
So a flat decline, just so for people who don't know what that means, I would hit submit on your application, and it would literally be computer says no. It wouldn't even make it to an analyst. The computer just goes, no, their housing expense is far too high. This will put them into distress. So just flat no. That was before the Royal Commission went through. So then the Royal Commission happened, and they made all of these different adjustments to how banks can lend money, and ironically, it actually made credit far more expensive for the average punter, which is a thing that no one talks about.
It did cut out the middleman that got you a good deal, though.
Oh, well, yeah.
Brokers.
Totally. They got wrecked.
Yeah.
But think about that. Before the Royal Commission had even gone through, you were already flat declined if your housing expense was more than 30% of your income. Fast forward, 10 years to now. What are we doing as far as banks lending money to people? Everyone's housing expense is above 30%. Everyone's. I don't care who you are. If you're renting or you have a mortgage...
you couldn't sell any scrip if you're stuck by that old rule.
Well, exactly right. You can't write any paper, can you? Yeah. So here's the thing. So obviously we have weakened the lending laws on banks to the point that they are so terrified that you're not going to make your payments. Because this is the interesting thing, right? I was having a conversation with a mate of mine about this the other day, and he did have a good point, which is, even though Australia's household debt is ballooning out of control, and it has been out of control for 15 years already, we still have a really low, what's the term called?
Debt to productivity.
No, it's called like recidivance or something. Basically,
people who've not paid.
Yeah, the rate at people at which people miss payments on
Yeah,
loans.
I'll get this. If you keep going, I'll get it.
So we have a very low rate of that because as Australians, we are very good bill payers. We always have been. It's been part of our national identity, I think, for a long time, right? You don't want to owe someone money because that makes you a bad person. And so even though all of the costs have ballooned out of control, we've still had a very low rate of people not actually paying their loans. Now, I question that completely, because is the only reason why we've got this low rate of people not hitting their mortgage because certain banks are garnishing it directly out of your wages.
I've just Googled salary credits Australian banking. When applying for credit products like credit cards, banks such as CommBank require proof of income, which often includes recent salary credits. Applicants may need to provide bank statements or transaction listings showing 3 months' worth of salary credits.
Yeah, so this is a new term that they're using. Because I can tell. So I've been out of the industry for 5 years now. There was no mention of salary credits 5 years ago. This is a new thing.
The most recent salary credit must fall within specific timeframes, within the past 17 days for fortnight pay, or within the past 33 days for monthly pay. For new employees, additional documentation such as a letter of employment, recent pay slips may require. That
was all covered under proof of income before.
Yeah, but this is a different thing.
New term.
This is saying what. This is a wage. This is
a wage garnish.
Wage garnish.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is new. This has snuck up on me. I've never heard of this.
Me neither.
Before now. And this is a massive red flag. This is a huge red flag for the economy. Like that. And now the way that he said it too, it's like, oh yeah, they're just going to check about salary credits, and he has to ask, what's the salary? It's just the bank's just going to ask you about salary credits. And doesn't it sound so dystopian?
They all have these dystopian names, man. All of it does. I mean, this is one of the things that came out, and I know it's not completely relevant, but talking about like dystopian terms and shit, I didn't get the clip. I should get it. Whatever. You guys will be able to find it. There was a hearing this week in Parliament with the Sex Discrimination Commissioner, and there is a quote from her that essentially she doesn't know what the person asking the question means by the term biological man. Yes. So the Commissioner of the Sex Discrimination Act cannot discriminate between the sexes. The Sex Discrimination Act was created to have equality between the sexes. If you can't fucking tell the difference, you can't do the job, bro.
Well, my argument would have been if there's no difference in the sexes, therefore no one can be sexually discriminated against, therefore your job doesn't exist.
Well, that's it. Like, make it redundant. If you want to play the trans...
Delinquency is what you're looking for.
Delinquency, yeah.
Delinquency rates. So when I was in finance meetings, we used to go through like our loan book and go through our delinquencies. At 3%, you're like shitting yourself. You're like, oh, that's too many people. We're being too generous with the lending. But under 3% was like, yeah, it's okay. But yeah, dude, I reckon, and even the concept I was thinking. Let's just use some arbitrary figures right now, right? And I want you to rationalise this for me because...
I've just sent you a link, by the way.
I think I said it on the show before. Do we want to watch this clip first?
Yeah, it's only 30 seconds long. I don't know if it's the whole thing, but you should be able to see enough.
The Victorian case of a male pedophile being housed in a women's prison. It's been in the media in the last week. For the purposes of the Sex Discrimination Act, do you consider that this man, who is a child sex offender, is a woman?
The Sex Discrimination Act includes trans women within it. So the person who I believe you're referring to is a trans woman.
Right. That was very revealing. My next tranche of questions...
Okay, so it doesn't have the full quote, but I don't know, have we covered that? We didn't cover that pedo story on the show, did we?
Dude, who cares?
No, I care because it's fucked. And this, okay, I just want to give a quick breakdown of this because this is an example of what I talk about with the term toxic empathy. Okay, here are the facts of the case, and you guys can look it up. We don't have a link, and you don't need to look it up. There is I think he was in his early 20s, 23, 24, 25-year-old man from Victoria who identifies as a trans woman who has a 5-year-old child that he molested 19 times and video recorded for the enjoyment of his pedophile boyfriend from the United States doing sex acts at that person's request, and when it came to the sentencing, so it was it might have been more than 19. I think it was 19 videos, 32 images or something like that. Right, absolutely disgusting.
Yeah,
absolutely
burnt
disgusting.
at the stake.
Now here's where the toxic empathy comes in. This person now identifies as a trans woman. The defense lawyer was trying to argue that they were less culpable because they were a woman. And the judge agreed. And listen to this. They said, when it came down to the sentencing, they gave them a more lenient sentence because they said as a vulnerable woman, she was being coercively controlled by the male from America to create this content for him. Do you know what this... So, for a start, this person's in a women's prison. A sex offender who offended on their own child is in a women's prison. That for a start. Guess what their non-parole period is? 2.5 years.
Yeah.
That's it. 2.5 years. So again, this is Victoria, right? This is the People's Republic of Victoria. This is communist China in Victoria. They have a minister for men's behavioural change because of the amount of violence against women that apparently men are doing in Victoria. So it was so bad they created that position in Parliament. But doesn't matter, bro. Just identify as a woman and you just get off light. Yeah. That is toxic empathy. That person deserves no pity. That person should be thrown directly into a male, or not even a high security prison, probably a medium security prison. So you know the prisoners in there are bad enough to do something about it. Right? Just throw them in with the dogs. Tell everyone in that prison exactly what that guy did. Let them take care of him. That's what that person deserves. No fucking pity at all. But because we live in this absolute fucking clown world, we're trying to pretend that a child rapist deserves our pity because they're being coercively controlled by someone on the other side of the planet. That's toxic empathy. That is the end result of toxic empathy. So if you ever want to accuse me of being misogynist because I say stuff like, hey, women, I'm sorry, but because of your emotions, you are easier to emotionally manipulate into voting for government policies which go against your best interests. Just because I say stuff like that, you can call me misogynist all you want, but it's true. Because I'm telling you right now, men don't vote for this shit.
Well, I saw a meme that I'm going to slightly modify, which is, they may call you a misogynist, but they'll never call you a liar.
Yeah.
Where were we? Where were we before that?
Oh no, I may have slightly derailed it.
You've definitely derailed it. It's fine. I think we've covered that. We've covered the...
Oh, can you bring up... If you're not sure where to go, can you just bring up the other clip that I sent you? So this is about the... I think it's the Racism Commissioner or something. The Race Discrimination Commissioner.
Is that this one?
Oh, no. I'll play that one afterwards. So go to the one before that. Because we can play that after. So this is the Race Discrimination Commissioner, who is Indian-born, by the way, and his office released the National Anti-Racism Framework, stating that white people can't experience racism, endorsing a far-left definition of racism where white people can only be perpetrators. Just play a little bit of this, Alex, and...
Okay, I have some questions around the National Anti-Racism Framework. That document calls for commitments that include acknowledgement of the systemic and structural nature of racism. The explainer on 5 common myths and misconceptions about racism that bears the AHRC logo and is available on the AHRC website explicitly says that we all live and participate in a racist system. Commissioner, do you think Australia is a racist country?
I think that racism significantly affects systems and institutions in Australia, and that's
Pause
something
it.
that...
Yeah, I got that. Yeah, your job.
Dude.
Like, you've become part of the framework.
Okay, this is something that I need to yell it louder for the lefties at the back. this is, again, downstream of nonsense. So if you go to America, back in the early 2000s, racism was never spoken about at all. It was not a problem anymore in America. So much so that Americans, where the majority of people are white, voted Barack Obama in as president twice. The leader of the free world was a black guy voted in by a majority white country. And then what happened? The global financial crisis happened. And we've covered this on the show before. When everyone was talking about how the banks destroyed the economy and destroyed people's retirement savings, all of a sudden, news outlets all over the world started talking about racism. You can find graphs of this that show the numbers of times the word racism was used in
Google searches.
Yeah, well, not even Google searches, articles, journalism, and it absolutely went it spiked exponentially just after the global financial crisis happened. So, in other words, they created a racism problem that didn't exist to divide and conquer the populace, because unfortunately the populace got way too close to who the real villains are. The fucking banks. The banks who caused the problem and ruined everyone's lives in the first place. And guess what? They destroyed black people and white people alike. Didn't matter what colour you were negatively affected by the global financial crisis. But because you guys got too close to figuring it out, we started talking about racism. Now, you want to fast forward and you want to tell me an Indian dude who's been given the position of race discrimination minister, who's on $400,000 a year in our country, and he still wants to say that we're a racist country? Like, this is...
It makes no sense.
It's upside down world.
Yeah.
It's if he was right, he would be white, and they would be saying, there's no problems. Right?
We're not covering that.
Yes.
Commissioner, do you think Australia is a racist country?
I think that racism significantly affects systems and institutions in Australia, and that's something that we need to combat to make our society better for everyone.
Do you notice the blink tell?
Yeah, he knows he's full of shit.
Yeah, so he's got his eyes closed. For those who are just listening, he's got his eyes closed for most of his speaking, which is, if you do that so you avoid eye contact with someone.
Yep,
so
it's a defense mechanism. There's also the him holding his hands together. That is a comforting thing that a lot of people do when they're lying.
Yeah.
I like her response to it.
President, do you think Australia is a racist country?
I think if you look at the founding of Australia, it was founded by colonisation, where the rights of First Peoples were blatantly ignored, and we still haven't come to terms with that fundamental injustice.
Commissioner, we've heard that Australian taxpayers are paying you a considerable salary at this estimate. Are those Australian taxpayers racists?
Senator, I don't...
Can I just say, if we had the option not to pay this guy and be called racist, let's do that.
I'd take it. Dude, I'm going to get called racist anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
No,
I'll get my 400 back.
Yeah.
That's a helpful question. I think what taxpayers would want to see, like all Australians, is a society where everyone can be themselves, can flourish and can thrive. To get to that point, we need to name racism, we need to deal with it in a whole of government, whole of society approach, which is what we've called for in the National Anti-Racism Framework. So I think the thing to remember is that what we're advocating for with that...
Dude, this guy's got so much swag too. He's do you know what he's thinking about?
White pussy. The amount of white pussy he's getting at the moment. He's just tearing it up.
He's a good looking dude, he's in shape, and he looked like he's got nice clothes on.
He's on $400,000 a year.
Yeah, dude.
Framework is a society where systems and institutions are there for everyone.
That same explainer for the National Anti-Racism Framework explicitly says it is a myth that white people can experience racism. Do you agree with that statement?
I think that it's important to look at that explainer as a whole, not just taking one sentence out. But the important thing to note is that racism is rarely about any biological construct or the colour. It can be about the colour of someone's skin, but it is about the way in which power might be wielded by one person over another. Ta-Nehisi Coates, the African-American writer, said that race is the child, racism is the father. It's often created as a means of oppression, and in this country, in Australia, it has tended to be towards people who are not white. That's the important thing to recognise.
Can you pause that?
Hold on, I need to see. I want to see what watch he's got.
Child racism is the father. It's often created as a means of oppression, and in this country, in Australia,
I can't see it.
Okay, I need to make a point on this. Because what he said just then is leftism 101. Because what he really said, the focal point... Now, he wanted you to ignore the fact that his own document says that white people can't experience racism. I think it's important not to just think about that. Just look at the whole document. Don't look at the little bit that says that white people can't experience racism, which we all know is a falsehood. But the focus point for him, what his problem is with racism, is the way that people in power wield that to have power over other people.
Yeah, which is what you're doing, bro.
Which is exactly what they're doing. And I want to give you an example from Australian Parliament. Did you know that we have banned MPs from wearing the Australian flag in Parliament because it's been called racist? We banned it. And yet, you've got people in there like Marine Faruqi who are allowed to wear the colours from her native country, and there's no problem. So, again, this is the upside-down world we live in today, which has been exacerbated by a feminized society who is not willing to call out bullshit and double standards when they see it. If you only focus on race, you are racist.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So when I look at people, I don't see colour. I see you as a person and the content of your character. That was the dream, right? Martin Luther King, he had a dream that people would be judged not by the colour of their skin, but by the content of their character. And now, unfortunately, we've got a lot of people, regardless of the colour of their skin, the content of their character is pure horse shit. That dude's included, and so are the rest of our fucking politicians.
Dude, it has gone buck wild.
Oh, go to that other clip. You'll enjoy this other clip, because this is an example of what we're talking about. And again, I do have this problem with leftist politics. I've explained it before, where lefties are so willing to lie to their own supporters to get and maintain power, and then once they get the power, they use absolute authoritarianism to keep it. So this is an example of... because I don't know if you heard during the week, unfortunately Albanese's had to come out and say that he really wants us to turn down the political rhetoric, because... Even he's concerned now. Now he has to take security out with him to go places because, you know, everyone's starting to get far too inflamed, and, you know, we've really got to turn the rhetoric down. So can you just play the clip?
Hey, I'll give you the tip. If I was like in a hotel and the proprietor of that hotel came around and just jacked the price of my room up in the middle of the night and kicked my shit around and said that I wasn't allowed to talk to anyone in the lobby and started removing services, or paid a cleaner that never showed up but somehow charged me and the job wasn't done, like, I'd be pissed off too.
You'd probably complain, I'd say.
Yeah.
What we do in Australia is we treat people with respect.
Cookers, like Senator Brennan.
Cookers, crackpots, cranks and crackpots. I think they're both.
I have a track record on this.
Far right.
Racist.
Arrogant.
Neo-Nazi.
Spreading hate.
Clearly racist.
With Nazis. Hopefully they're white with Nazis. You know, white is right.
So boring.
Racist.
You
Racist.
shut your mouth.
Neo-Nazi.
Shut your mouth.
Be racist.
Trashing of our democracy.
Right.
Persecuted.
Hookers.
Racist.
Demonised.
Crackpots.
Racist.
Blamed.
Anyway, you get the point.
Neo-Nazi.
The people who...
Banger of a song, by the way.
Yeah, banger. That's the only reason why I
Yeah.
want to listen to the rest of it. But
Yeah.
again, the people who talk, who pretend to care the most about, or be the most tolerant and have the most empathy and want the best for people, they're the ones who constantly talk about race. They bring it up all the time because it is a manipulation tool they use to leverage you and your emotions to get
Yeah.
what they want from you. That's what I find so evil about this.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if when I was selling cars, like, there was such a good psyop that when people came in, I was like, hey, have you seen the TV lately? If you don't buy this for full sticker price, you're a racist.
Yeah.
Imagine how many cars I would have sold. You can't do that, but that's literally what these politicians do. And, like, we had a conversation about this recently because with the whole leftists lying to get and retain power thing, what I find fascinating about it, because a lot of people don't pay attention to the details, is how a lot of these people, like Albanese is a good example, Keir Starmer is another good example, the values they espouse are not the values they follow in their personal life.
Yeah.
So to give you the example, you have Albo out here talking about housing and, you know, he was raised in public housing by a single mom and blah, 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 blah. Dude's got 3 investment properties. One of them is a multi-million-dollar place on the beach, which he spent $50 million of your money to build a new road out towards it to increase the value of it. Meanwhile, he's in a publicly funded Kirribilli house and renting his places out. Albo is making $100,000 a year in rental income. It's good income if you can get it. Keir Starmer. So Keir Starmer over in the UK, it was under his government, I believe it was, that they increased the inheritance tax. Because, again, these communists believe that just because you have accumulated wealth over your lifetime, which you worked hard for and paid tax on when you bought it in the first place, that shouldn't go to your children. You shouldn't be able to pass that on. So to create more equality in society, they will considerably tax your wealth when you die. It's through the inheritance tax, and they'll redistribute the wealth. Oh, but hang on. Keir Starmer in the late 90s bought his parents some land, which I don't think he paid much for at the time, but it's worth millions of dollars now. But when he purchased that land, he didn't just buy it for his parents. What he did was he bought it, put it into a trust. And the trust gave his parents control over the land until they died, at which point the mechanism in the trust reverted the ownership of it directly to Keir Starmer, which avoided the inheritance tax. So again, like, it's blatant hypocrisy, and you've got to stop rewarding it.
Yeah.
Pretending it doesn't exist just means you love being lied to by people who make you feel good at the time. You love it. You eat that shit up. I talk about this all the time with the difference between Trump and Obama, right? I have a lot of conversations with a lot of lefty friends, and they talk about how Donald Trump is not presidential, the things he says are bad, he tweets all the time, he's reckless, he's misogynist, he's all of these bad things.
Pussy grabber.
Pussy, yep, grab him by the pussy. Which is what that race discrimination minister is clearly doing to white women. I guarantee, you should look it up, I guarantee he's got a white partner, if he's got one at all. Otherwise he's left a slew of them behind him. But then you bring up Barack Obama, and they're like, yeah, he was the most, like, presidential guy, the way he carried himself, he was so stately, and, you know, he is what they look at as the pinnacle of what being presidential means. And then you go, okay, did you know that Barack Obama deported more migrants than Donald Trump has? He literally had the nickname, the Deporter-in-Chief. That was his nickname. Did you know that Barack Obama signed off on more unmanned drone attacks that killed civilians than any other president in US history? So Barack Obama is directly responsible for the most civilian deaths by drone of any American president in history.
He was also in the chair when the global financial crisis happened, as we've discussed in this podcast. That was like the main cause for like all the financial dramas we've got right now.
Yep, and he took your money and bailed the banks out who caused the problem in the first place, and I think one guy in America went to jail.
Yeah. I think we should leave it there. I think that's the best place. I want you to think about your feelings. I want you to be critical of your thoughts, and I'd like to hear some feedback, whether you send it straight through on Instagram, or if you put it in the comments, or just reach out. I want to know what your experience is like. I'd like to see you try and see what kind of tangible benefit. Like even that aspect too. Like I remember I used to have this sales guy who was going through a real like depressed patch, and one of the things I got him to do, because he walked in miserable, and I said, I just want you to write a gratitude diary, and all I want you to do is find 5 nice things before you sit down at your desk at 8 o'clock. And just write them down that you're thankful for that day.
Yeah.
And day 3, he was mint.
Yeah.
Quantified it. Like, it literally changed his mood because he was looking for something to be happy about, as opposed to letting these feelings steer the ship.
Yeah, because where focus goes, energy flows.
And on that note,
thanks very much for joining us, guys. We will see y'all next week.